the farm becomes a factory. Before the 1880s, farmers would grow crops for themselves mainly, and sell a small portion of their harvest. They would not need to buy many things because they were considered self-sufficient, meaning that they would not rely on the outside world. They would make their own clothes and eat their own crops. Since prices were high, farmers focused on growing cash crops, which were crops grown for the sole purpose of selling. The most common cash crops included corn and wheat. As a result of farmers becoming more involved in the economy, the farmers became more familiar with the business system, as well as the manufacturing and transportation processes.
With farmers growing crops for profit, they grew as much as they could. So with the invention of the steam engine, they could plow and seed all at the same time. Then, in 1880, the combine was invented, which was able to reap and bag grain. At the time, combines were pulled by 20 to 40 horses, whereas today, they are mainly gas-powered, with some electric. This machinery was very effective, and crops were harvested much faster than ever before. This development and use of equipment is referred to as the mechanization of agriculture. However, this machinery came at a large cost. Mainly wealthy farmers were able to buy this machinery and grow their surpluses of crops for a huge profit. In turn, poorer farmers lost businesses to the wealthy farmers because of the wealthy farmers' surplus of crops. The poorer farmers then left the rural areas for jobs in the city.
Within the next 10 years, by 1890, America became the world's breadbasket, with large grain farms, also known as bonanza wheat farms. Additionally, migrant workers grew fruits and vegetables in the West, mainly in California, which were then sold for a high profit. Deflation dooms the debtor. Many farmers who grew for cash crops picked to grow either wheat or corn and stuck to the one-crop farming system. Before the 1880s, wheat and corn sold for a good amount of money, but in the 1880s and 1890s, the prices fell dramatically.
There were three main reasons why the prices fell. The first reason being the world market and output. Other countries, such as Russia and Argentina, produced surpluses of wheat, lowering the world value of wheat. The second reason was because of the static money supply, meaning that there was not enough currency in circulation, which was primarily caused by industries and businesses thriving. In order to solve this problem, prices were lowered. The third reason is because of the industrialization of agriculture. Farmers in America grew much more crops, which then lowered the prices of the crops. On top of farmers' low income, mortgage interest rates rose from 8 to 40%. Many farmers were forced to sell their land and change to tenant farming. Also, American farmers who had taken out loans were unable to pay because they were relying on the money that they would have made from their crops to pay off the loan. But with a decrease of the price of wheat, they only made a fraction of what they needed. Farmers suffered under the economy in the 1880s and 90s as a result of the world market, static money supply, and an increase in the production of crops.
Farmers were unhappy as grasshoppers ravaged prairie farms. The cotton boll weevil wreaked havoc in the south. Flooding added to erosion, washing off topsoil, and expensive fertilizers were needed to maintain crop health. In addition, a series of droughts in the Trans-Mississippi West began in the summer of 1887. As a result, entire towns were abandoned. Soil tillers' land was overassessed, and they paid painful local taxes. These high protective tariffs made profits for manufacturers. In turn, farmers had to sell low-priced products in a fierce competitive world market, while buying pricey manufactured goods in a protected home market. Middlemen took a large cut from the selling price of goods that farmers bought, and operators pushed storage rates to the ceiling at grain warehouses and elevators. Freight rates could be so high that farmers sometimes lost less if they burned their corn for fuel. If they fought this, railroad operators would let their grain spoil in damp places or refuse to provide them with cars when needed. Farmers made up nearly one half of the population in 1890, but were very disorganized. However, they were by nature independent and individualistic, and very against consolidation or regimentation. No one ever arose among them to preach the gospel of economic integration and concentration, and they never organized successfully to restrict production until forced by the federal government in Roosevelt's New Deal days. However, they did organize a monumental political uprising.
The National Grange of the Patrons of Husbandry was organized in 1867. Headed by Oliver H. Kelly, the Grange sought to improve the lives of the isolated farmers by hosting social, educational, and fraternal activities. The lonely farmers viewed activities like group picnics, concerts, and lectures a godsend. Kelly even created a hierarchy system that farmers willingly took to, where men ranged from laborer to husbandman, and women ranged from maid to matron. The Grange was well received, reaching 800,000 members by 1875. The Granger's goal increased from individual self-improvement to improvement of the farmers' collective plight. Embattled Grange farmers entered politics, fighting to regulate railway rates and storage fees. Grange influence disbanded in politics, but the organization still lived. Farmers found a new political party to make their grievances known through, the Greenback Labor Party. The Farmers Alliance, which was founded in Texas during the 1870s, was an outlet for rural discontent. The Alliance housed over 1 million members by 1890 and had goals that included the nationalization of railroads and a graduated income tax. But the Alliance was weakened with their ignoring of landless tenant farmers, sharecroppers, farm workers, and their exclusion of blacks, who accounted for nearly half of the South's agriculture population. Ignored blacks organized their own alliance, the Colored Farmers National Alliance. The original Farmers Alliance introduced a new political party called the People's Party, or the Populists. This party attacked Wall Street, wanted a nationalized railroads, telephones, and telegraphs, called for a new federal subtreasury, and free, unlimited coinage of silver. The Populists managed several congressional seats. Other parties soon realized that the farmers were not to be ignored.